Hey, Dad, can I ask you a question?
Go to it.
All right, Dad, let me ask you a question to start off this episode. Got another one for you. I'm actually really excited about this because money is a topic you and I often discuss.
Yeah.
And I'd love to hear, you've made some great purchases. We were kind of just talking about one off camera, Harper, our dog. Great purchase. What do you think, if you could recall, is the dumbest thing you've ever spent money on?
Dumbest thing I've ever spent money on. Wow. Well, I guess it's all those things that I've bought and then thrown out, you know.
Right, right.
But I mean, it's so much stupid stuff like sporting equipment,
So
golf
like
clubs.
so like anything that didn't stand the test of time for you?
Yeah, I
No,
mean, I spent
think of like
yeah,
one thing. I feel like
yeah.
there's something out there.
I spent thousands of dollars on golf clubs. I
Ooh,
don't play golf anymore.
ooh,
And I got okay, I never got great at it. And it was taking up too much time from cycling. So
right.
they sat in the garage for a long time until my son needed money once and they started selling them off.
Yeah, I sold them on eBay, Played Against Sports, which is like a sporting goods thrift store, if you will. Um, I'm curious though, like you weren't terrible at golf. However, the way I remember it is yes, it took up, time away from riding, but
A
you got
lot of time.
injured. You got injured, didn't you?
Well, yeah, I also got like this golfer's elbow. Yeah.
What is that? What is that?
It's like tendonitis in the arm. And I
Oof,
was just, every time I hit the ball, it was just killing. And I was like, you know what? I'm not getting better at this. There's no point to
right.
continue.
Did you
I've been
ever
injured before, and like I keep cycling
mhm,
because as long as I can pedal, I'm good.
kind of have to?
Yeah. I mean, that's how I feel. But the golf thing, I was just like, I was not getting any better. So it was like, I can be done with this. And also the time factor
The
had a
time
lot to do with
factor
it.
is
Yeah,
important.
had a lot to do with it.
Okay, then maybe let me try something else. I want to try maybe a different question because I want to see like what kind of tangent it goes off onto. You've been on plenty of great vacations. Plenty of
Yeah.
great vacations. You love for if you're just joining us, my dad loves Mill Valley, loves San Francisco, loves Yosemite. All places we've been to together. You've been alone. What's the worst vacation you've ever taken? Like a place maybe, and we'll say worst as in either A, it was just so bad, like things went wrong, or B, it was just like, okay, I've seen it. I don't need to go again.
Well, that's a tough question because, I, at the viewers, I'll tell them like I have to watch every penny. So, I'm not going to pick a bad vacation. And
That's true.
once I get to where I'm going, like I know exactly what I want to do. I mean, the plan might change a little bit depending on people, but I don't pick bad vacations. I just don't. And I've had some bad travel experiences, but that's a different story.
Yeah,
Sometimes just you run into that shit.
I'd
But
say you've actually been pretty lucky with travel lately. With
yeah,
your
yeah,
first class experience, go check out
yeah.
episode what was it, 30, is 33 or 34 to
I don't recall, but like every place I've ever gone to, like the places you named, I'm like, I always make sure I know I'm going to have a great time. I mean, barring any accidents, hopefully not,
sure.
but like, they're pretty special places that we've been to. And, whether it's San Diego, whether it was Moab or Monument Valley, I mean, they were all great times. There's some annoyances in there, but that's
Sure.
okay. Flat tires,
Did we ever? I'm trying to think if we've had some pretty interesting experiences like in a car together. I mean, you are always, and again, I don't know if this is like you trying to save pennies or you just like the road trip vibe, but you were always the dad who was like, "Oh, everyone else is flying, we'll drive it. We'll drive it." And
well,
I enjoyed
yeah.
that. I enjoyed
Yeah,
that.
I think, yeah. Sometimes I think, listen, within the state of California, I think it's just a good idea to drive.
Right.
See the country, see the state. There's more beautiful places up north than there than at Los Angeles. And Los Angeles is great once you hit the mountains. So Yeah, so a little bit to save money, because you put, four people on an airplane. It's a lot, it's less time consuming, but it's
For
definitely
sure.
cheaper. But yeah, I always love like driving up, the one highway, from San Luis Obispo all the way up to into Monterey. I mean, it's the greatest coast on the planet. Why wouldn't you want to see it?
Yeah, it's
Um,
we've done that drive a bunch.
yeah, yeah, and it's a great ride, and it's a great drive, and hopefully one day maybe I ride down the coast. I'd really like to do that, but
You would
yeah,
like to do a ride from San Francisco to
yeah,
LA?
yeah. One day I think I'd like to, yeah, like fly to San Francisco with my bike, and then just ride my bike down the coast. Take
Wow,
6, 7
fly.
days.
Fly. Go against everything we just
Yeah,
spoke
yeah, yeah.
about.
Well, I have to get my bike there, and I
Sure.
can't have a car up there because then I got to turn around and go back. So,
Yeah,
yeah. So, and it's easier, I think, to ride from north to south than it is from south to north. I think it's less climbing, and it's still going to be, still a boatload of climbing. So, yeah, I'd like to do that one day.
so you talk
But
about the state being, so big and let alone the country being huge. There's plenty of places in America you haven't been. What is, I mean, do you have any desire to go anywhere else in America that you haven't been already or like cuz
I'd
one
like
place I think of is like Atlanta, Georgia. I'd love to go to Atlanta.
Yeah, I don't care about the big cities, but I hear there's some crazy, like the Appalachians would be
Oh,
sick to go to and like ride your bike through there. I have a good friend who lives up in Wyoming and Jackson Hole, and
oh,
she and her boyfriend are always inviting me up, summer, winter. I mean, it just always looks insane,
yeah.
But like it's a working retail. I only have X amount of weeks off, so I have to pick and choose them very wisely. And Mill Valley is a no brainer. And it
Sure.
seems like, now dead shows, maybe in Vegas are a no brainer. That takes up 3, 4 days.
Yeah,
And then there's New York where my parents are, and my sister is, and obviously my son is. So that's a necessary trip also,
totally.
and it's kind of hard. Listen, if I worked for myself, or if I had a company below me and I could travel a lot, then yeah, I'd go check out some things. Love to
Or
go to Oregon. Love to go to Washington State.
Oregon. So I would love to go back to Oregon. I would also love to go to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. It just looks unreal.
And my
But
friends who have the house in Jackson Hole, they also building a big house in Costa Rica now.
oh
And they're
boy,
like, Adam, you come whenever you want. Like we have
Costa
we
Rica.
have a fucking bedroom for you. Like, I mean, she Catherine is one of my closest friends for like the last 15 years. I mean,
Wow.
she's the best. But, after when the pandemic started, they got out of LA and they kind of started like, all right, we think we're going to like this. So she has they have a little apartment in like West Hollywood now. He used to have a place on the beach. It did not burn down. And then, so then they travel between the three places and,
Are they gonna want all this public information out there
well, I'm
about
not
them?
naming names, so who
You
cares?
did. You
No,
said.
I just said Catherine.
Oh,
That's
that's
it.
true. It could be anyone. It could be
It could
anyone.
be
I'm
anyone.
teasing. I'm teasing. You know what made me think of
It could be
Atlanta,
Catherine
Georgia?
Griffin. Who knows?
You know what made me think of Atlanta, Georgia?
What?
It's because last night I was on the couch, girlfriend already asleep. So, YouTube, it just starts the rabbit hole begins. She goes to sleep, the rabbit hole begins. And so
Sure.
I'm I'm watching some YouTube videos and a recommendation comes up for like it's like a compilation of the best moments from every season of The Walking Dead.
Mm.
And oh, I was like, I haven't watched anything Walking Dead related in years. So I click on it and I'm like, that happened? Oh my God, that was crazy. Oh my God, I totally don't remember that. But the show takes place in Atlanta. They filmed all over Georgia, and it just made me think like, oh wow, what a beauty. I mean, even in all the post-apocalyptic world,
Mhm.
it still look stunning. These places they're going to. I mean, there's so much of America to see.
There really is, and I have a good friend of mine who like traveled the South, a
Mm.
Jewish guy who traveled the South, and he said the hospitality down there was absolutely like insane.
Oh, I'm
How
sure.
good it is.
I'm
He's
sure.
like, people are so nice.
So
He
friendly.
says, yeah, there's going to be a few out there that don't like Jews, that don't like, people from the coast, whatever. But like, he's like, he was pretty impressed with it. And he said, and the food is great. And he's like, it's wonderful. He's like, it's too hot and humid. So
Well, I
that's
guess
a,
on the travel, chain, what's like best food like you've had? It like the best place you've been to for food. Like you were like, "Oh, this state, this country has the best
oh,
food."
that would have to be my honeymoon, and that was a place in I think it was Rome called Acqua al Dui, and I
Whoa.
had been there back in 1991, I believe, when I went traveling with my friends after college, and so I took your mother back for a honeymoon. That was 1999. That's a long time ago, you know.
Wow. It
But
is.
this place Aqua do is pretty cool because they brought out little samplers of like 6 different pasta dishes, but it was just enough to
Oh,
like it wasn't even that much in each. It was a little tiny little bowl, you know, like this.
wow.
And so they brought out 6, and your mother and I remember. I just remember, and like we had fettuccine alfredo for dessert. That's
Oh,
how good it
wow.
was. Yeah.
That's pretty great.
Well, yeah, it's but yeah, listen, I'm sure there's much better places. I just haven't been there. Yeah, and my favorite pizza place is in San Francisco,
Ooh,
Golden Boy Pizza.
Golden Boy Pizza. I haven't had that in
Good.
years. I got to get back there.
Wonderful,
Got
just
to get
wonderful.
back there.
Do a pizza crawl
Yeah. Oh, we've done some pizza crawls in San Fran. I did a pizza crawl for Memorial Day
in
with
New York.
in New York.
Yeah.
We hit up 3 pizza places. We went to Celio's in the East Village.
Mhm.
And then on the Lower East Side, right after that, we went to a place called Baked by Luigi. And then the third place we went to was right by us called Lucia. And that was, sorry, Baked by Luigi. It was the best one. However, the the dude who owned Baked by Luigi, we went in on Memorial Day. There's nobody in there. I walk in and I say, you know who I am. So I'm obviously like, I got a mouth on me, not in a bad way, but just like I love to talk. So I walk in, I'm like, oh, are you Luigi? And he goes, who's asking? And I was like, oh my God, it sounds like my father. Cause like sometimes
Yeah.
people will be like, are you Adam Lasky? And you're like, who wants to know?
Exactly.
Right. So I say that and that's my response, the response I get. And he just says, I say, oh, no one in particular. He's like, what are you with the IRS? And I was like, no. He's like, you a cop? I was like, no.
Tell me with
FBI
ice.
agent? He's like, FBI agent? No. And I'm like, what's going on? He's like, well, they've come in here before. And I was like, okay, Luigi.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, are you open? He's like, technically, I'm not, but what do you guys want? He was like, cash only. The pizza was outstanding. And then
Really?
he was like, and then he's just like, we started this like beautiful conversation about like life. He told me a lot about him. He said he's like, 500,000 in debt because he wanted to like start this passion and open up a pizza place in New
Yeah.
York City. And he's Italian and born and raised in Italy and family moved here when he was, in his like teens. And he like, we were talking, I forgot how it came up, but he was like, yeah, I mean, my sister's also a little bit in debt too, because I kind of took money from her for this place too. So she's an investor. And I'm like, well, you have like, he had like 4,000 5-star reviews on Google. I was like,
Right.
that's amazing. Do you know how,
Living the American dream. You know?
seriously? So I was like, so
You have a job. You have a job, and you're in debt.
right? I mean, the goal is to never be in debt. And, I don't plan on heading down that road, but it's not about me. It's about Baked by Luigi. Baked by Luigi was the nicest guy. He gave us amazing pizza. He even had a slice with us and just like the hospitality amazing, the pizza amazing. And I was just like this is why I moved here.
It's nice. It's a nice story.
It
You
was
know.
sweet. And he could tell. He kept saying he's like I could tell you're not from here, but I could tell you're not a tourist. And I was like, well, thank you. I'll take that as a compliment. I just moved here. And then like 10 minutes after he says that, these tourists walk in. He goes, see, here's what I got to deal with now. And he's like, have a nice day, guys. And I was
That's
like,
funny.
yeah, it was
That's
great.
funny.
It was great.
So I have to tell you, I have to tell you,
Yeah.
I have to speak more, enunciate more. I've realized because I go back and I watch the YouTube videos.
And
And
you're
I'm
like,
like,
well,
what is he saying? Like he
Dad,
mumbles a
you do
lot.
this.
Like,
You do this in your everyday. And I love you to
yeah, I
death,
know.
but
I
just
know, and I don't know really
slow
how to
down.
fix it other than maybe get a speech therapist or
No, you just
something.
slow down.
Yeah.
You don't have to get
So
your thoughts in order. Just like speak slowly.
Okay. So I went to drop off my car today at the Hyundai dealership at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Shout out
Right.
Hyundai Van Nuys. You're not going to want to hear this one.
Um, so, yeah, what I normally do is, you got to wait there like 30 minutes, for them to check you in because there's like 40 cars, in front of you. And then I usually go for a bike ride. So I pull up and there's no cars in front of me.
Oh, brilliant.
Great. Right. So then she says, well, you're here for the oil change. I said, yeah. I said, my rear blinker is not working. And she tells me that it's like $30 for parts and $200 for labor. And I was like, don't do it right now. Blinker. Maybe not the smartest idea. But then she also says, and you have to do a brake fluid exchange, a cabin air filter, engine air filters, and four-wheel alignment. And I said, and so it comes out to like $860.
What?
Yeah. So I'm like, I said, well, why do I need this stuff? She says, well, you need it at 35,000 miles and 60,000 miles. I said, that's great, but my car only has 18,000 miles.
Oh, totally.
So,
Yeah.
In all my years of leasing cars, and I've had 3 cars from Hyundai, I've had a Ford Flex that we've discussed.
Oh, the
I've
Ford
only had
Flex.
to replace the tire, the one that you fucked up when you came back from college.
Yeah, but you know what?
That's the only thing I've had to replace.
Yeah.
And that's fine because that's my fault. I get it. But like oil changes have always been free. Rotating tires have always been free. Everything's always been free.
Right.
And, and I can't help but think now that they're really pushing the service thing because the tariffs have kicked in for cars and nobody's buying cars.
Yeah.
And why there's no service line, I have no idea. And then when I pulled back up 4 hours later after my bike ride, my car is sitting in the bay where you go to see the valet guy to pick up the car. Usually it's just sitting there. I pull off and I could like put my bike in the car. Usually that's another 20-minute wait.
Oh,
I was just thinking to myself, like, what the fuck is going on? So,
what is going on?
I don't know. I think it's the tariffs.
So
I really do.
Are you going to fix the blinker? I mean, you can get tickets for that.
Yeah, I'm not worried about tickets, but yeah, I'll fix it.
I mean, I would fix the blinker and then just tell them don't do any of the other stuff.
Yeah, well, I'm not doing any other stuff. If anything, I might just buy the parts for the blinker and have one of my mechanics at work fix it after work. They're really good. They're really good.
This episode is sponsored by Helen Cycles, taking good care of people and their bikes since 1936. Serving Southern California with locations in Santa Monica and Manhattan Beach, with brands like Trek, Santa Cruz, Pinarello, and Colnago. We'll see you on the bike.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I mean, you think they'd be willing to do it?
Probably, yeah. And
What
I'd rather
can't
give them
they
some
do?
money.
They're pretty handy over there.
They're pretty handy over there. They're pretty great.
Yeah.
They're good guys. Some of them work too slow, but other than that, they're great guys.
You can't bash your boys on air.
Yeah, well, they know they work slow because they're milking the clock.
Right, they're milking the clock. They're like, oh, it's 4:30.
I'll fix a tube in an hour.
Right.
If I fix it too fast, I'll have to fix 30 tubes an hour. It's
Totally.
work. Yeah.
Not to get too into sports because it's not the only thing we want to talk about on this show. But MLB All-Star voting opened up today, Wednesday, June 4th.
Was I voted? Was I nominated?
No, you were not nominated, but Pete Crow Armstrong on the ballot. And I mean, he's going to be an all-star, knock on wood, which is just mind-blowing, like crazy to even think about. And then you got like Judge and Ohtani. And I was reading something. Ohtani hit 15 home runs in the month of May. 15. 15. Some people hit 15 in a season.
Right.
I don't think anyone's ever hit
every other day of the month. Right.
Yeah, pretty much half the month he hit a home run. That is insanity. I've never could he surpass 50 home runs this year? You think
and 50 stolen bases? Maybe he's the first guy to go to 60-60.
I mean, in back-to-back seasons, that would just be absurd.
No, he's amazing. That they don't even talk about him out here anymore because it's like, whatever. We know he's doing well. Hopefully the Dodgers can do as well as he's doing.
He's embedded in the city now. Like
Yeah.
he's an Angelino. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter where he's from, where he used to play. He's an Angelino in this city. I mean, LA probably just loves him.
Yeah. And so is Japan.
Japan is, I
That's
mean,
what I got him.
I mean, Japan what is that their greatest like star to come out of Japan?
I don't know. I will say this though. I was looking at this morning percentages of Major League Baseball teams that have either gone up or down in percentage,
Hmm.
and like Dodgers aren't the biggest percent, but they sell consistently 50,000 tickets at Dodger Stadium, and the stadium holds 56. Last year, they were bringing in 46,000. So
Whoa.
they've upped that.
Right.
Do the math, whatever the math is. But that's
Insane.
pretty amazing. And like the Mets are really up because of Soto. Yankees are
Right.
always growing a little bit. Red
Soto.
Sox are in the negative. I found it to be kind of an interesting report, that a statistic I never knew I needed.
Right.
Or wanted to look at, I should say.
You know, who and what I didn't know we needed. Like sometimes in life, like you don't know what you need until you don't have it,
Mhm.
right? R-Truth being released by WWE, and I don't want to say too much because I would love to work for this company one day, but like that was crazy.
Yeah, I heard that they weren't going to give him the money he wanted, so he walked. That's what I've been reading a little bit this morning.
He walked. I don't.
Yeah, because he wasn't getting the money. They're doing that with the Braun Strowman. They're doing it with a whole bunch of other
You
WWE
think?
superstars because they can get younger for cheaper.
Well,
So
they
I mean,
definitely can
that's
get
always a
younger.
possibility.
They can get younger guys for cheaper for sure.
Yes, that's
You
always a
know.
possibility. So maybe he didn't get fired. Maybe he's just like, look, I know I'm in the middle of storyline, but if you're going to offer me $200,000 and I'm making $500,000,
It just
I got to be
seemed.
gone.
It seemed quick. No,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
seemed quick.
yeah. It was sad because he's great. Yeah,
I mean, I think he falls in a underappreciated category. I feel like I just didn't
to me, he's like
recognize.
Kofi Kingston. Sometimes he has a title belt, sometimes he doesn't, but he's always there and he's always entertaining and just something. There's a good quality about him, and he's usually funny. Kofi Kingston's always funny.
Yeah,
Always saying funny stuff.
Kofi was always pretty funny.
So I have to tell you. So have you been reading much stuff about AI and
Well,
what's
there's a lot.
happening next and all that stuff?
I mean, I know Google has made some pretty crazy, advances in, artificial intelligence, and it's not the only thing on the news right now. The news cycle is really pretty crazy, whether it's like Trump and
It's
Elon with
crazy. It's doom and gloom. It's
doom and
It's
gloom, and then you got that crazy attack in
Boulder,
Boulder,
Colorado.
and then the thunderstorms in Wichita. Jack Straw from Wichita, he's fine, thankfully. But I'm sorry, that's not something to joke about. But still, the news cycle is really interesting. You see that you can I guess exchange like cell phones for money in
No,
in
I
these
didn't see
like
that.
in these like vending machines. Like you could put old phones in a vending machine and it'll
Yeah.
spit out money. And like this woman lost her phone and
Uh-huh.
found it through Find My iPhone sitting in one of these like vending
Wow.
machines. It was crazy. It was on the news last night. But anyways, you were gonna say something about AI.
No, I was just yeah. I mean, but he did well there. That was nice.
Okay.
My mother took it. My mother's 82 years old, and she took a class, of course, on AI.
Really?
Like 3 classes. Yeah, and she came out. She actually said it in the Zoom meeting. She's like, I'm 82 years old. She's like, I'm thankful that I'm not going to be here to see what happens next because I gotta tell you, she said it's pretty scary. And she's like, look, there's gonna be some good stuff to it, but for the most part, it's gonna be really bad. And I don't know. I'm hoping for the best. I'm trying to get my daughter to take some courses on AI. I think it's super important. I think if you don't know what's going on, you're gonna get even more lost in the world.
Yeah, like COVID, which we've spoken about. It's like everyone refused to talk about COVID. And then as soon as it caught up to everyone, they were like, oh, now we have to pay attention. And it's the same
Yeah,
thing with AI. It's like nobody wants to talk about it. It scares the shit out of everyone. Or they don't want to talk about it because they don't know enough. And then there's going to be a day where it catches up to everyone and people are like, I'm falling behind. I can't keep up. I don't know what's going on.
Right. And I was just watching something on CBS that like an AI was like prompted to shut down, and the AI rewrote the code. And it was like, I'm not shutting down.
Whoa.
Like, that's really scary stuff. Like, and if it's put into the wrong hands by wrong people, whoever those wrong people are, I mean, it's just absolutely terrifying, what it could do. But, I'm just going back to what my mother said, she's like, she's like, I'm a little concerned about you, Adam. She's like, I'm really concerned about my grandchildren and my great grandchildren. And,
I think my kids are fucked.
Right.
I think my kid, it's like, honestly, like, I don't know, but then again, I don't know. And is it because I don't know enough, or is it because we just don't know? It's almost like it's a horrible comparison to make, but it's almost like when I was in high school and every kid except me, literally every kid, and actually a few of my friends weren't into it, but like every kid owned a Juul or like a nicotine vape. And the joke was that like, oh, well, we know that a part of it is bad because like nicotine isn't good for you. That is scientifically proven. But on the other hand, the positive argument being made was it was like, well, this is so new, like vapes in general and Juuls and like almost like wax and liquid nicotine is so new that there wasn't enough science behind it and evidence to show how bad it was. So the talk of the town was like, well, we won't know until we know. And
now,
that day has come almost 10 years later, because it's almost been 10 years since I was a freshman in high school, which is really weird, but topic for another day. And so it's kind of the same thing going on with AI is like, we know that there are parts of it that are definitely bad. Like we already know that, but we don't know enough. Therefore, everyone's like, well, let's just see what happens. So is it like, do we think it's 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now?
They think it's between 3 and 5 years from now.
Eek.
Like, and Barry Diller, I was listening to Barry Diller. He started the Fox Network and he started QBC. He's unbelievable. Like what he was able to create content wise, back in the 80s and 90s. And he was on some talk show, Bill Maher's talk show the other night, and he said that there are, I forget exactly, he said that there are 3 defining moments in world history.
Okay.
And he's like, one is the Renaissance, which I'm not that familiar with, and one is the Industrial Revolution after
which,
World
of course,
War II.
Most people are familiar with.
And the next one is AI.
The artificial intelligence revolution.
Yep. So it's kind of, he said, I'm very concerned. He said, I'm very concerned. And then I also was reading something that by the year 2300, which I don't have to worry about. You don't have to worry about.
Yeah, no.
But that the world population is going to be able to fit into the UK.
The world population will be able to,
because the machines would have taken over. So there's no more reproducing. There's no point.
Oh, well, and then that's just an even, crazier philosophy to talk about, which is why there are certain religions that are like super, super locked in on like reproduction, and that it's like super important that like I've heard Tucker Carlson say so many times in interviews that he's like, if I could have more kids, I would. He's like, just keep reproducing. He's like, my wife and I, we have 8 kids. He's like, I'd have 11 by now if I could. And I'm like,
why don't you then?
Well, I don't know, but it's just like man,
it's kind of scary. I mean, we're creating an artificial.
But in my opinion,
we're creating an alien life form.
But it puts so much into perspective, though, and the perspective that I have is like one that I already live by, which is like more the reason to just live every day as it comes. Like seriously, like, and even more proof that nothing matters. Like literally, like just live it each day. Nothing matters, and like it's horrible. We're all going to be dead one day. Like literally everyone, like the world will cease. The world will cease to exist one day. So it's just like Live the life you try and live the life you want to live.
Max, I get that. But at the end of the day, money makes the world go round. Okay. So
Attention makes the world go round.
If the machines take over, why would you want to have, and you have no job, you can't make a living almost. I mean, I know some people will be able to, and believe me, like the blue collar workers they'll still be around, but like, what if?
What if?
So if you can't make money, you can't do anything, and you'll probably be out on the street. So why would you procreate? Because it feels good. I get that, but I mean, this is how I think. I mean, I'm a big conspiracy person, but this is how I think.
I don't want my kid. I don't want to set up anyone for failure. I mean,
but I think that like if the machines take over most jobs, then you can't find work. There are a lot of college kids graduating this past spring who cannot find jobs because those beginner jobs, AI is taking them. So that's a problem. So maybe you got to go, pick another business. I get it. And, retail has been changing for years with Amazon and, just the way consumers consume has just changed over the years. I mean, that's why so many stores are going out of business, Max.
This is why when my mom sends me stuff about the 80s, I don't want to fucking see it because I'm just like, okay, I get it. Like, was it actually that good? Like,
was it that much better than now? No, I don't think so. Listen, I had my struggles, because the 80s, I'm in high school. I definitely have my struggles and, socially.
But you guys didn't have cell phones there's so many pros, and I'm sure there are plenty of cons as well.
Yeah. I didn't have a calculator when I was taking tests. I mean, maybe I could have done better in school. You had a calculator in school.
Worse. I had something called photo math. It would take a fucking picture of the math problem and then solve it for you.
Sure.
Talk about AI. This was like 10 years ago.
Right. And I had none of that. I had to figure out what 2 + 2 was. I mean, I was like, damn, this sucks.
Yeah, I had to do that through Kumon and all that BS tutoring y'all made me do until I figured out what photo math was, and then totally didn't care about high school. Anyways, Dad, tell the people what they got to do.
Don't forget to subscribe. Tune into YouTube where you can see our ugly mugs, and tell your friends.
Speak for yourself.
Share.
Speak for yourself. This face needs to be seen.
Okay.
This face needs to be seen.
I love the face. I don't know if everyone else does though.
Well, it just needs to be seen, I mean, I would love, someone asked me the other day, like, dream job. And I didn't really give them one answer. I said, I was like, Ryan Seacrest? They were like, yeah. I was like, okay, Ryan Seacrest hosts a radio show, a talk show, a game show, has a podcast, and makes like millions of dollars traveling the world. I was like, I want all of his jobs. I want his money. I want his schedule. So that's my dream job, is like to be the next Ryan Seacrest. And the way that's going to happen is reps. These are reps for me. These are reps for you.
Need more reps. I'll take more reps. I don't need any of that.
You'll take the reps and the podcast. The podcast will be our thing.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, hey, shout out to Dad as I'm hosting like the 72nd season of Survivor.
Yeah, so, I'm sure CBS wants you to shout out to this.
Things you should ask your dad.
65-year-old guy.
Hey. Well, follow us on Instagram at Things You Should Ask Your Dad, at Lasky in LA, at Max Lasky. Tons of clips coming out soon. And yeah, we've actually started posting, so go check us out. And we'll see you next week. Dad, I love you so much.
Love you, Max. See you next time.